Before watching the video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch the video till the end. You will love my video. We need your support. U.S. halts Iran airstrikes. Breakthrough or calm before the storm for months. Since Operation Epic Fury kicked off on February 28, 2026, the skies over the Middle East have been the stage for one of the most intense air campaigns in recent memory. The headlines have been relentless. Escalating attacks, missile barrages, and a region on a knife's edge. And then, it went quiet. After the latest punishing round of bombardment, the United States has suddenly paused its airstrikes on Iran. Tehran has gone quiet too. This brings us to the critical question, why? Is this a genuine diplomatic breakthrough, the first real off-ramp from a catastrophic, widening war? Or is it something far more sinister? The terrifyingly quiet moment just before an even bigger storm. In this video, we're going to investigate the evidence for both sides of this crucial question. We'll break down the secret talks, the military calculus, and the unresolved crises that tell the real story behind the silence. On the surface, the sudden halt in fighting looks like the breakthrough the world has been desperately hoping for. There are compelling arguments that this is more than just a temporary pause, but the start of a real de-escalation. First, there's a flurry of diplomatic activity happening just behind the curtain. For weeks, mediators, reportedly from Oman and Qatar, have been working to pass messages between Washington and Tehran. Many observers believe the U.S. pause is designed to give these exact talks some space. This represents the first serious, coordinated effort to find a political settlement since the conflict began. There are also reports that technical discussions are underway between Iran and Oman about defining new, safe shipping lanes through the Strait of Hormuz. This back-channel communication suggests a real, if fragile, political will to step back from the brink. Second, there is the powerful incentive of economic agony. The war has been devastating for Iran's already crippled economy. But the real leverage point is the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's move to effectively shut down the world's most critical oil choke point was a powerful one, but it's a double-edged sword. While it inflicts pain on the global economy, it also isolates Iran. For the rest of the world, the economic pressure is immense. Before the crisis, the Strait saw a huge volume of the world's seaborne oil pass through it. Now, traffic has collapsed, with reports on some days of only a handful of vessels making the passage. War risk insurance has skyrocketed, making transit too expensive for most. This shared economic pain creates a powerful mutual incentive for both sides to find a diplomatic off-ramp. Finally, there's the military reality on the ground. Several reports suggest that U.S. commanders were advising that Operation Epic Fury was reaching a point of diminishing returns. After months of intense strikes hitting thousands of targets, the U.S. may be running low on high-value targets that don't risk massive civilian casualties or an uncontrollable escalation. On top of that, there are warnings that the campaign is draining critical and expensive munition stockpiles at an alarming rate. When the military option becomes less effective and more costly, the diplomatic option naturally looks a lot more attractive. But there is another, more ominous way to read this silence. History is filled with ceasefires that weren't signs of peace. But tactical pauses used to rearm, reposition, and prepare for the next, more brutal phase of a conflict. We've seen this pattern play out before in this very conflict. A fragile truce agreed to in June was shattered by renewed hostilities, leading to the very airstrikes that have just been paused. These lulls in the fighting have often been just that, lulls. They are moments for both sides to catch their breath and test each other's resolve before the fighting resumes. Furthermore, the hardliners in both Washington and Tehran remain powerful. For them, compromise is weakness. In Iran, officials have threatened to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed until their demands are met, framing the pause not as a concession, but as a reciprocal move. They vowed to respond in kind if U.S. strikes restart. In Washington, the administration has used language that frames the pause as a last chance for Iran, which sounds more like an ultimatum than an open invitation to talk. This rhetoric suggests that while the bombs may have stopped, the political war is very much alive. This leads to the most critical point. the pause in airstrikes has solved none of the fundamental issues that started this crisis. First, the Strait of Hormuz remains a flashpoint. While there are talks about shipping lanes, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps still effectively controls the waterway with the credible threat of mines, drones, and attacks. Commercial traffic has been slashed, and some tankers that do risk the passage are reportedly going dark by switching off their transponders to avoid being targeted. Until a verifiable, lasting agreement is reached to reopen the strait, it remains a loaded gun held to the head of the global economy. Second, and perhaps most dangerously, is the nuclear question. The conflict has shattered what little remained of the international community's ability to monitor Iran's program. The International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, has reported a loss of continuity of knowledge over Iran's nuclear materials. This is partly because its inspectors have faced severe restrictions and have been unable to access key sites like Natanz and Fordow since the strikes. As a result, the agency cannot provide assurance that Iran's program is exclusively peaceful. Iran is believed to possess a large stockpile of uranium enriched to 60%, a short technical step from weapons grade. A pause in bombing does nothing to rebuild monitoring capabilities, restore inspector access, or account for the nuclear material produced in the shadows. The core issue of nuclear ambiguity is not only unresolved, it's been dangerously inflamed by the conflict. We're laying out the arguments for both a breakthrough and a tactical pause. But before we get to the final analysis, if you're finding this breakdown valuable for making sense of complex global events, take a moment to subscribe. Our goal here is to give you the real story, and your support makes that possible. So where does the balance of evidence lead us? Is this a breakthrough or just a calculated pause? While the diplomatic activity is real and the economic pressures are immense, the argument for this being a calm before the storm feels stronger, or at the very least more prudent. The core conflicts over the Strait of Hormuz and Iran's nuclear program remain completely unresolved. A halt in bombing, while welcome, doesn't change the military and political reality on the ground. Iran still holds the strait as its ultimate leverage, and the world is still flying blind on the true status of its nuclear ambitions. It's probably most accurate to see this pause not as a step toward peace, but as a strategic tool in itself. It is a form of managed escalation, a signal from Washington that it prefers a deal but is prepared to continue the war. For Tehran, it is a chance to see if relief is possible without having to fully surrender its leverage. It's a high-stakes test of intentions, conducted in silence. Ultimately, this silence isn't an answer. It's a giant question mark hanging over the entire region. We have to be incredibly careful not to mistake the absence of conflict for the presence of peace. The difference between a temporary ceasefire and a true, lasting resolution is measured in political will, a commodity that remains the most volatile element in this entire crisis. The bombs may have stopped for now, but the war of wills rages on. I've laid out the evidence and my analysis, but this is a developing story with massive implications. What's your take? Are you seeing signs of a genuine breakthrough, or is this just a tactical pause before the next, even more dangerous phase? Share your analysis in the comments below. Let's discuss it.